There is one sleep until the Colorado Buffaloes take on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Who's going to win? I'm going to tell you why I think it's the Buffs.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure to follow along so you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. And thank you for making me your first listen of the day. We had a little technical difficulty with the episode that was supposed to be released at 5 a.m. So here we are, a little midday episode, little midday prediction, but let's do it. The Colorado Buffaloes, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, they're facing off tomorrow. It's going to be a good one. I'm really excited about it. I know a lot of you guys are really excited about it. I'm going to give you guys, I already told you why I think that, I didn't say why, but I told you I think Colorado's going to win. Let me give you the lay of the land. What's going on here? So Georgia Tech visiting Colorado. Game's taking place at Folsom Field, 6 p.m. local time. Expected to be 73 degrees and cloudy, so great weather there. Georgia Tech is favored by 4.5, but ESPN's FPI predicts Colorado will win with a 52.7% chance. And then ESPN's SP Plus predicted that Georgia Tech will win 30-29. So it's going to be a really close one, I expect. My final score prediction is going to be 28-21 Colorado. Feels like a very safe score, but I just feel like it's kind of going to be a back and forth game, right? It's going to be a back and forth sort of battle. And I have a few reasons why I think Colorado could win. I think there's things that work in their favor. And we'll just start with that. For starters, Colorado was 5-1 at home last year. They defend Folsom Field well. Their only home loss was against Kansas State, and that was probably a game they should have won. They lost by 3. So Colorado 5-1 at home. They're a more balanced team this year. Is what I have written down because it's the truth. I think this year, and if it's not this year, then I don't know if it'll ever happen. I think this is the year they have a good offensive line. And I think now more than ever, they've been emphasizing being balanced. And I think part of the reason that they weren't balanced last year was because the offensive line wasn't very good, so they couldn't run the ball. And I also think that when you had Deion Sanders and 4 NFL wide receivers, you throw the ball a lot. But now you have Caden Salter, who is no slouch in his own right, but Caden Salter brings a running element with his legs. He brings a RPO element, quarterback design run element, like something Colorado has not had. And I think he is someone who's super dynamic, who could open up a game by himself. Like everyone's worried about Haynes King running, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but Caden Salter is a much more dynamic quarterback than Haynes King, right? That Georgia Tech defense should be fearing Caden Salter more, if not the same as much as people are telling Colorado to fear Haynes King. So it's more balanced team on offense. I think defensively, they lost some key guys, right? BJ Green led the team in sacks. Travis Hunter led the team in picks. That being said, they have Arden Walker. They have Keaton Wade. They have Samuel Kunalola. They have DJ McKinney at corner, right? They have all these guys who are ready to step in and be key contributors, be starters, be the stars this year, where they're not like, oh, that was the second guy last year. They're ready to be the guy. So more balanced, I think, multiple positions. And then we'll go one final stat before I go with like the human element of things. Deion Sanders is 5-0 in week 1, right? Dating back to Jackson State, he has won every single week 1 game that he has coached, right? Especially at Colorado. Week 1, it was TCU during year 1. They beat them on the road. Last year, they beat North Dakota State. Granted, it was a little closer than I think, probably too close for comfort, but we all knew that North Dakota State team was frisky. And so there's that. Now let's go with the personal element of things, the human element, right? I don't think there's always, I know there's stats and analytics that tell us a lot of things about sports, but at the same time, there's a human element to things, right? There's a human element to every sport because although it may say on 3rd and 5, like we should go for it, our quarterback is, like this is an example. Our quarterback, the last time he threw a pick 6, right? He's a little down on himself, right? He's not feeling confident. Or although it says we shouldn't go for it on 4th and 3, we have all the momentum, right? We are like 4th and 3 on our own 30. We have all the momentum. We have all the confidence. We just scored a touchdown. We just got a big stop, right? So momentum is a big thing. And I think Colorado has 2 momentum things working with them, right? For starters, everyone is doubting them because they lost Shador and Travis Hunter, right? I think there's a lot of this, I guess, jargon where it's like, well, they had Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter, right? They were two of the best players in the sport. Can they really win without them? Can they be the same team? Can they be as good? Well, for those asking if they're going to be the same team, they're not, right? There's new players and new positions and new schemes and new ideas, ideologies. And I think that works out for the better. I think Colorado mixing it up could help them. I think they have an element of surprise for Georgia Tech that they really can't prepare for. I would say Georgia Tech is it's probably more useful for Georgia Tech to go watch Jackson State film than Colorado film last year. Just in the simple fact that like Jackson State was more balanced than Colorado was. They ran the ball a lot. That's why there was a lot of hype around Stevion Wilkerson when he came to the program. He was a 1,000-yard rusher, right? Colorado ran the ball a lot, or excuse me, Jackson State, Coach Prime, they ran the ball a lot. So they have that to prove, right? Everyone's doubting them. Everyone's like, oh, you were a flash in the pan, right? Deion Sanders, his new team can't do this, can't do that because they don't have these guys, right? So there's that sort of element, that mentality. And then also, Deion Sanders beat cancer this offseason. And I think there's going to be a big sort of emphasis on that in the pregame show. I think Coach Prime is probably going to be like, he's probably going to bring it up. I think the guys are going to be extra motivated just because, and I know it's not like a football, like this isn't a football stat or a football really, I guess, measure by any means, but you have to realize that's a big deal, right? These guys are going to play for him. They want to get up for him. So I like that. Now, here's where things can get a little complicated for Colorado. Georgia Tech, granted, and I think, and I've said this before, Georgia Tech is going to be a really good team. That being said, they were very inconsistent last year, right? They lost, I would say their best performance that most people talk about was a loss to Georgia. I do think they're a really good physical team. I think Haynes King will make you pay, and I'll talk about how Colorado should stop him in a little bit. But they are ranked 26th in returning production, so one of the most experienced teams in the country. Another year under Brent Key, which is probably a good thing. I imagine they're going to take another step. I just feel like Georgia Tech is going to be a really good team. I think Colorado has the element of surprise working with them. I think Colorado has a lot of things working with them in terms of just emotional appeal, schematic stuff. Like I do think that Colorado, if they're able to run the ball or if they're able to make this a high scoring game, I don't know if Georgia Tech can keep up in that matter, right? If it's a slow, like if it's a game where I'm predicting, or it's 28-21, which I think that's more likely than Colorado just blowing off the doors. If Colorado's just blowing off the doors and they're up 20 early, I don't see Georgia Tech being able to chase them down. That being said, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it'll sort of be a methodical back and forth game. And Urban Meyer said something the other day that it was really interesting to me. He said the team that wins at halftime is a team that made the least amount of mistakes, right? Whether it's the quarterback or the coach, they made a quarterback mistake or a coaching mistake. And I think Colorado, for the most part, they're not uncomfortable in close games, right? They beat Baylor in overtime last year. They've come back against countless teams, Colorado State, Cincinnati. I'm sure there's others, right? Where Colorado seems to really ramp it up when their backs are against the wall. So really looking forward to this game. You guys comment below, who do you think will win? In terms of how Colorado stops Haynes King, well, I have the blueprint, and I don't know if people are going to like it. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Upside. Hey, Locked On Buffs fans, are you still paying full price for gas, you schmuck? Stop leaving behind money and get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code FOOTBALL and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, right? I mean, it's like, well, how does that make sense? But it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. So don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code FOOTBALL, all capitals. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. This episode of Locked on Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at Supply House. Now, let me tell you about Supply House if you didn't already know. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. The real-time inventory, honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. If you need parts fast for a project, Supply House has next day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCOLLEGE for 5% off your first order. Again, that's SH College 5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow. That way you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. Also, we're doing a really cool survey over at Locked On. You have a cool chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thank you for helping us out. How to stop Haynes King? It's a very serious question because I think he's sort of the key to everything, right? Haynes King is sort of the guy that runs on this, or I would say Georgia Tech runs on him, right? When Haynes King is at his best, Georgia Tech is winning. When Haynes King is banged up or absent, Georgia Tech, not so much. So I tweeted this stat, and I think this is where I don't want to say reading comprehension, but it is very much reading comprehension stuff. Tweeted this stat that was posted by Max Chadwick of PFF. And someone asked, how is Haynes King against man and zone last year? His passing grade against man last year was 54.1, which ranked 126th. Granted, there's like 136 starting quarterbacks in college football. Passing grade against zone, he was 87.7 grade, which is 5th. He said Colorado had the 4th most man coverage plays in the country last year. So, all I tweeted was Haynes King's weakness is Colorado's strengths, or one of Colorado's biggest strengths. Now, a lot of people took this and ran with it. We're like, I hope Colorado plays man, or why would we play man against Haynes King? Well, here's the thing. You probably don't want to be playing a lot of man against Haynes King, right? I think the reason is, he's a dual threat. So it's pretty simple. I don't think you want to play a lot of man against Caden Salter, right? Because if same thing for Haynes King. If all your corners, your secondary members or linebackers, whatever it is, everyone in coverage, if their backs are turned to the quarterback, well, and he doesn't find anyone open, he's going to take off and run, and it's probably going to be a large gain of 20, 30 yards, right? That's how they kill you. That's how these dual threat quarterbacks kill you. Because unlike certain quarterbacks who are looking for an open man downfield or trying to keep plays alive or fading in the pocket, a dual threat quarterback is going to look around and be like, okay, no one's open. I'm a threat. That is, they put the threat in dual threat, right? They're going to be like, I'm going to take off and run, give my team another down to play, and we're going to get some yards, move the ball down the field, and it makes life hell on the defense. And so I think the best way to stop Haynes King, and it really comes down to making this a shootout game, or making this a game where Haynes King has to throw the ball. Because, and I'll put it simply, Georgia Tech was 1-4 last year when Haynes King attempted 30 or more passes, right? That is not the game they want to play. They do not want Haynes King dropping back, throwing the ball a ton. That's just not the game they want. So to stop Haynes King means you have to put Georgia Tech in a position where they cannot rely on the run game, because their run game is going to be dynamic as hell, right? That is just how it works. Georgia Tech, regardless if it was the triple option or in years past, they have always figured out a way to run the ball. Now, you don't want to let this be okay, we take away I almost said Jared King. I don't know why. Haynes King game, but then we allow Jamal Haynes to run all over us because Jamal Haynes will make your life miserable. He rushed for 944 yards, 9 tuds last year, and he's shifty, 5'9", 190 pounds, like shifty little running back guy. And it's like, okay, you just don't want Georgia Tech to take over in the run game, and that's really how it comes down to, or what it comes down to. Excuse me. Haynes King, his biggest asset is using his legs, right? Whether it's play action stuff, whether it's I'm looking at my first read, second read, or maybe just my first read, and I see they're not open, so I take off, right? That is what Haynes King wants to do. So Colorado's really going to have someone with eyes on him at all times, whether that's Reggie Hughes, Martavius French, I don't know. We'll figure that out. But you got to have some eyes on Haynes King, right? You cannot have everyone's back to him, right? Keep everything in front of you, because I don't think Georgia Tech is a type of offense that could get vertical all game, right? I know they have Eric Rivers, but I just don't think that's their game. I don't. I think Haynes King is more of an intermediate to, like, I know he can, and I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he won't attempt it, but I think if Colorado is picking their poison, where it's like, hey, do we want Haynes King to have X amount of rushing attempts, or do we want to have Haynes King attempting X amount of throws 15 to 20 yards down the field, right? I think they would side with throwing the ball down the field for Haynes King because he's more comfortable running. He is an athlete, right? I don't think his game is predicated on him just deep shot after deep shot after deep shot. I don't think that's his game, right? So in order for Colorado to stop Haynes King, they have to really make it a game where he's pretty much a non-factor as a runner, or him running, or excuse me, he's take away the opportunities for him to run, I guess. But more importantly, make him a thrower, right? Make him beat you with his arm, make you beat you with, like, hey, you guys are down 14 and you have the ball at your 20, right? You could run the ball, but you're going to kill clock and you're going to make it very difficult for yourself to get down the field if you just keep running and running. So I think that's the way to do it. It's easier said than done. Granted, they've played better quarterbacks than Haynes King, right? Like, let's just be real. Avery Johnson, better dual threat than Haynes King was, right? They've played other quarterbacks who can scoot, right? This isn't their first time playing against quarterbacks who could scoot, right? Cam Miller against North Dakota State. I don't know if he's better than Haynes King, but he's a good quarterback last year that they faced. That was a dual threat, right? They've played the dual threat guys before. This isn't a shocker. This isn't like oh my gosh, it's generate, like, they're not playing a prime Lamar Jackson, right? It's not what it is. It's not. He's not Tim Tebow. He's not Lamar. He's not Josh Allen, right? Haynes King is a very good college quarterback. That being said, I would feel much more comfortable making him throw the ball a lot than allowing him to sort of play that game where they can just run the ball down your throat, because if you're in a position where Georgia Tech's running the ball down your throat, well, it's too late. When we come back, we're going to be talking about my other keys to victory for the Colorado Buffaloes. But first, a quick break. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by Game Time. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like a battle, more than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCULTURE, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. That's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go. Download Game Time today. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Let's talk Haynes King, Georgia Tech, Deion Sanders, Colorado football. How do we win, right? How does Colorado win? Well, for starters, consistency on offense, right? Starting strong. I think too many times last year, Colorado started slow. I think it worked out for them a handful of times, whereas like UCF, they got a nice pick that really saved their you-know-whats. But there was games where it's like Texas Tech, they were also able to come back. But it's a dangerous game to play. You don't always want to be the team that's coming back from down 10 to 14 points, because eventually your luck will run out and you will not be able to come back from 10 to 14 points. That's just how it works. So start strong. That is my first key to victory. Be balanced on offense, right? I think putting all the pressure on Caden Salter like you did Shedeur Sanders last year will not work, right? You need the running backs, whether it's Draylon Miller, who's getting some snaps at running back, DeKalin Taylor, Michael Welch, Simeon Price, whoever it is at running back. They need to make plays, right? They need to be productive, and Colorado cannot give up on the run game. I think too many times last year, Colorado would run the ball like 5 times in the first half, and they'd be like, well, we tried. Now it's time to throw the ball 40 times straight. And it's like, okay, you're not even allowing the run game to try. And so I think that's on the offensive line. The offensive line, in order to run the ball and be balanced, the offensive line has to be good in both pass protection and run blocking. So there's that. That's my other key to the game. Limit Haynes King's running ability, right? Make Haynes King a thrower. That's a key. I know I talked about a lot last segment, but that's pretty much, I think that's probably the easiest way to beat Georgia Tech is make Haynes King beat you with his arm, because I don't think he can, and I don't think he will. So there's that. You need stars to emerge, right? Whether that's on offense, defense, receiver, or Marion Miller, right? I'm looking at him. Can he emerge as the guy that Caden Salter consistently goes to? Defensively, right? Is it Tafik Bayard? Is it DJ McKinney? Or and then interior? Is it Jaheim Otis? Is Jaheim Otis even going to play? I don't know, right? Is it going to be Anquin Barnes? Maybe, right? You need guys to step up, right? I think that's the biggest question. I talked about this earlier is people are doubting that this Colorado team has talent because they lost Shedeur and Travis. Now, Coach Prime has already said this team is more talented, but just because you say a team's more talented doesn't mean everyone's just going to step up to the occasion, right? Once those lights get bright, certain guys will play really good and certain guys will turn out to be practice players where it's like, hey, Monday through, or I guess this week, Monday through Thursday, dude's nails. But when the lights come on, it kind of gets lost, right? His eyes get big. He's like a deer in headlights, right? So you need guys to step up, be those stars, or at least be those very, very much key players. And protect the football is another thing, right? That's sort of a key for every game. Caden Salter is going to want to take some chances, I would assume, right? He's going to want to prove that, like, hey, I'm the guy. I'm this. I'm not what I was last year. I'm what I was in 2023. And don't overdo it, Caden Salter, right? Protect the ball. And it's not saying that he hasn't, right? He's thrown 12 picks in 2 years, like 6 picks last year, 6 picks the year before. But don't get out of yourself. And I think that goes for everyone, right? Don't try to be someone you're not. Don't try to be like, oh, I'm going to make this superhero play right here for the sake of the team. It's like, no, don't go out of. There's a difference between trying hard to make big plays and then trying hard to make a big play happen, right? If you're trying to make a big play happen when you're forcing the issue, it's usually when things go wrong. So that's my take on the matter. Tomorrow's episode, I will be going live after the game, about half an hour after. So stay tuned for that. There won't be a morning episode because I'll be doing it at night. So you won't see me until the end of the night. And then our recap, sort of what went wrong with Jordan Dominic, former Buff player, will it'll take place on Monday morning at 5 a.m. and we'll go back to that time. I'm sorry about the delay today. But appreciate you guys for tuning in, making Locked On Buffs your first listen. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow. Football season is here, folks. Finally. Have a good one. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.